Welcome to Warmaster Podcast. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about how to get into DBA, DBM, DBMM, they're called DBX as a collective, designed by a guy, it's Phil Baker, I believe, from War Games Research Group, WRG. It's been around since the 70s. It's gone through a lot of different incarnations. At the moment, and for the last year and a bit, or last few years, I've been playing DBA. I think it's DBA 3. And I've been trying to... The problem with DBA is there's hundreds of different armies, and all the lists are in the book, but there are literally hundreds of different armies split into 4 different time periods. So you've got the kind of old-ass stuff, pre-500 BC, then you got the kind of cool stuff, the classical stuff, the stuff that kind of interests me most, and that's the kind of 500 BC to 500 AD kind of period. And then you got a period after that for about 500 years, and then you got the kind of modernish stuff, medieval knights and the like. So book 2 is the one that interests me most. So book 2 is what I tend to kind of look at and get drawn to. So how do you learn to play the game without having to buy and paint an army? Well, as when we were getting into Warmaster a long time ago, the easy and cheapest way to do it is to find some tokens that you can print out. So, amazingly, on my searches, I found this website, Junior General. And not only do they do DBA stuff, they do other stuff in Napoleonics and American Civil War and lots of other bits. And I've been printing off ones by this fella, or this person, I don't know if it's a fella, Hani Abu. One thing I do have to point out is the lists and the tokens were made for DBA 2.2. And when it moved to 3, annoyingly, and this really is annoying, they changed quite a lot of the lists. I wouldn't know what percentage of the lists they changed, but I've certainly found that all the armies I had for 2.2 don't work in 3. So that is irritating. So one thing you might find is when you're looking through the elements on the sheet don't match the elements in the list, and DBA works that you only have 12 elements. Sometimes you have more than 12 to choose from, but you only have 12 elements, and that's your army. So that you might have to print more than one sheet in order to make it work. But on the plus side of that, if you want to play bigger games, so you want to play DBM or DBMM at a slightly smaller scale than would be the norm, so DBA is roughly 100 points, and you can play DBM, which is the bigger, more grand battle version. You can play that at 100 points, 200 points, or 400 points, with 400 points being the norm. So DBA is roughly about 100 points, and then you can print multiple of these and stack them together and make a DBM army, I guess. So what else have we got that I managed to find on here that worked and I might print off? We have Samite. Even did little camps here, which is funky. Moorish. And the great thing about it is you are not spending nothing, apart from I think it cost me 50p per sheet to print these on card, which I did, from a local university-based print shop, which we're very lucky to have in Chelmsford, because they are fantastic. And then what I did is I then took them. So this is ancient British, or whatever they're called in this setup. So this is the book 2, list 53, and it says 2 light horse, so 2 figures per thing, and it's light horse and the cavalry. So you get, and then that's mounted on a 40 by 30. Everything's 40 wide in DBX, and they vary in depth depending on what the unit is. So we have some chariots, they're on 40 by 40s. Light horse again. Chariot again is a chariot general. So the ones with stars on are the generals. And then in this pack is the rest of them. So it was a little bit of a faff cutting them out, but I would definitely recommend just buying wooden bases, MDF bases. They're only like a few pence each, and it makes them much easier to move around, and with the printed cardboard on top makes them look, well, I think they look pretty good. So if I was wanting to experiment with DBA, this is how I would do it. And if you pick a couple of thematically matched armies, so maybe, I don't know, I mean, there's, in the book it tells you what the enemies of each list were and what the potential allies in the bigger versions are. So I would suggest printing off a couple of token armies. They even do some terrain, so you can print off some terrain if you don't have any terrain, but I do have terrain. It plays on a tiny board, DBA, so only 2 by 2, like 2 foot by 2 foot, 24 inches by 24 inches. You can play up to 30 inches by 30 inches, but there is certainly no need to do that. And that is one of the great things about it, is you can fit it on a table, no problem. So here's our Warband General. These are on, what are they, on 20 mil? I think so, 20 mil. So 40 by 20. So apart from chariots and some light horse, we've got some soloi, a couple of those. All of this isn't in the list, but when you print off the ancient British army list, this is all the tokens you get, and you get to have a selection of these to form your 12. Okay, so this is the absolute cheapest way to get into DBA and by extension DBM. And I will be talking about some other stuff later, about other ways to get in, and the costs and relative benefits of it. But this cost dirt cheap, some bases, 50 pence worth of printing per army, and just a bit of time. Let me know if you want me to do more of this kind of thing, and I'll see you next time.